Or is it not going to be on the Discord?
We're live. Everyone can hear you.
Nope. That's not how that. Nope.
That's how it works. How it works.
No,
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 8:03 p.m. March 3rd, 2023.
It's not.
It is.
I can see it.
You can see what?
The YouTube thing. Oh, we are live.
This time, the intro was not butchered by my lack of energy. Everyone, this is the Game Bites podcast, the only podcast that has now been doctor approved to put mustard on your peanut butter sandwich. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world's greatest gaming podcast, and also the only place on earth where a loud Italian man and an impish Irish bond over bitter lettuce and tales of famine. Alex, how you doing today, sir? You're my as always, I'm joined by my wonderful guest, Alex McConnell. How are you, sir?
Always? I'm good. No, actually, I'm not. I've been sick for like 2 weeks. This is the best day I've had in 2 weeks. So, but we'll make it through this. We'll do it.
Surprisingly, I don't care. So, for people that are new to the podcast, what do we do here? Every week, we try to take you through a handful of the greatest gaming news that has occurred and talk about things from the twin perspective of being gamers and also having some experience in the gaming industry as well. Alex, I missed the days of January where nothing was going on, but this week was freaking crazy. Did you take a look through the list?
Yeah, was a responsible gamer, just paying attention throughout the week. Yeah, I mean, like the biggest thing all year is Team Ninja made a From Software clone, so that's like huge news for me. It released, so we'll go over that. Why? What else is going on?
You haven't heard about anything else? I mean, this week there's rumors about Nintendo Switch 2, Electric Boogaloo. Some pretty significant stuff happening finally with the Xbox Sony drama. Is Xbox going to tell Sony that it secretly has a crush on it? What does the FTC think about it? And the EU just feels cheated on. There's some serious stuff going on there. Stay tuned to your local soap. And third-party wise, is Final Fantasy 16 now a God of War clone? So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. There's a lot going on.
Sounds like a lot of bathroom talk and nudge and catching notes and stuff like that. It doesn't sound like official stuff.
Well, we can dive into it. I also see you're putting notes here at the bottom to say, will he, won't he stream Wulong mind games?
Yeah, those mind games. That's what I've been playing all week. Mind games. You've been playing them.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been streaming a lot of Dark Souls, and that's now my favorite game. I love it.
Oh, really?
No, I love it. Yeah, I put 20 hours into it quicker than I put 20 hours into any game probably since Breath of the Wild.
Uh-oh. Maybe you're finding out why I am the way I am with every game. Maybe this is going to throw you into it.
I don't think anything could explain you. But with that, let's switch into the news. So Nintendo Switch 2 rumors heat up. And before I want to kick off into that, there's something that I think we owe our guests. Maybe I owe my guests or you owe our guests. No one owes anyone money. I don't think. Alex, you might owe some people money, like $3.50. But last Game Bites or 2 Game Bites ago, we talked about the Pokemon Presents that was happening. That happened this week. I don't have much to talk about on the list because honestly, it was nothing that we thought it was going to be. The
Pokemon Day.
Yeah. There were claims that we were going to get some Game Boy games and some Game Boy Advance games. This was
Who said that?
A lot of people said it. I was reporting on it and I was wrong, because I really thought it was going to happen. Now, as we agreed upon, we said if I was wrong with this report, then I would eat some radicchio red lettuce, hence the reference to bitter lettuce in the intro. That being said, I was not able to get my hands on any bitter radicchio lettuce. And frankly...
I know. Radicchio is apparently an exotic vegetable in the deep in the middle of Pennsylvania.
Well, it's commonly used for Italian dishes, and we're an exotic people. With that being said, wait, hold on. Proot in the community sent me a video talking about Dave Filoni of Star Wars fame when he was watching, what's the Star Wars anthology film that was actually good?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. So the last scene with Rogue One when Darth Vader does,
the hallway scene.
The hallway scene, right? They talked about how Dave actually had a big hand in shooting that and all that stuff. And Dave was like, why did you hire an Italian actor? He's like, what do you mean? How did you know we hired an Italian actor? well, Darth Vader doesn't talk with his hands, and this one does. And then they were like, he was right. Sidetrack. The red lettuce. Couldn't get a hand on it. So the agreement, as called out by Hawkinson in the community as well, is that I will take a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Right here, you see it. And I will add some Dijon mustard to it. And I will eat this. Now, I'm going to apply the mustard on in front of the camera so you can see that there's a good bit of mustard there. And I'm going to do that.
That was by request. I didn't want him to put a thin film of it and it count.
Oh, well. So, not getting anything past you. Did you have a good week besides being sick and crying a lot about it every time I talk to you?
No, I'm dehydrated from the ceaseless discharge from the nose and the constant crying. So I've been having to drink a lot of water, which this cloudy stuff is actually just a non-sponsored Propel powder because I didn't have like any other form of powdered stuff to add to a drink that anyone, may sponsor the show with. So I'm drinking Propel water.
Speaking of that, as always, we do have our affiliate partner, Midnight Energy. You'll see them in the bottom of the screen. I actually had some tonight, so I could speak to it that it does work. I'm no longer going to struggle over Wulong Fallen Dynasty.
It's woe.
Well, what do you?
You keep saying woo. If you want me to dive into the state of woo in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms and how woe is completely different, just think whoa, like whoa. This game's awesome. Whoa. Wulong. Wulong Johnson.
Wulong Boogaloo.
Wulong Johnson.
Yeah. All right.
It's not Wulong.
Wulong. Whoa.
Wulong Johnson.
I just think you don't respect my Midwestern dialect. Okay, let's get into the news. Enough distractions.
Take two.
Nintendo Switch 2 rumors are heating up. So, Alex, I don't know how Super Switch is what I want it to be called. People are calling it the Nintendo Switch Pro or Nintendo Switch 2 or the next Switch.
The whole Pro thing should die with games as a service and Battle Pass. Like, get it? We get it. It was 5 years ago. That thing was cool, but we should move on. If they call it the Switch Plus, I'm just going to be even more angry. But I just, originality should not be dead.
I agree.
Super Switch is cool, though.
Super Switch, I think, would work personally because it would communicate to an already existing product, right? The Wii U struggled with differentiation. Do I need a Wii U? Is it just a addition?
Do I need to get enrolled at Wii U? What's the tuition costs at Wii U? Do they have meal plans at Wii U?
Are they accredited? A lot of those online universities won't.
Do they offer a shuttle service at Wii U?
They're going to have a professor.
Or is this a console? I'm confused. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, Too Switch, Too Furious in the chat. I like it. So yeah, I think the Super Switch would be cool if we're dealing with essentially a souped up Switch. I think it makes sense, right? But I don't know if you saw, this is something that came out right after Pokemon Day, the announcements, Pokemon Direct or whatever it's called. There was a post on 4chan a few days beforehand, and after the I've never been on 4chan, so I've only heard stories about it.
Oh, I know what you're getting at. The info dump. Yeah,
the info dump. So this was on February 24th, 2023, handful of days before the Pokemon Direct. And after the Direct aired, they talked about essentially how, oh my gosh, this guy was 100% spot on. So I'm going to read what this says. And this is an article directing to the link from comicbook.com, the original article by a Tyler Fisher. But the 4chan post says, quote, I am a programmer at a Pokemon outsourcing company. My English is very poor, so I used machine translation to complete this post. The theme of the DLC is Hidden Treasure of Area Zero and Hexagon. Version 1.2 includes dressable clothes as a reward for DLC purchasers.
Dressable clothes as opposed to what? Never mind. It's okay.
Well, again, his English is very poor.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, it's well long. Okay, I don't know if you know. We'll include Unamorano and Tatsu. I don't know those names, but they were called out as Pokemon coming
up. It's the Japanese name. Oh, it's the Japanese names for those Pokemon.
Yeah, there's a Paradox Suicune and a Paradox Verizon, and a Paradox Singular Wireless
Verizon.
Yeah. So essentially, there will be a mystery Pokemon with a green mask, a special terrestrial appearance, and the third legendary Pokemon is a large blue turtle. All of this was spot on. Every single thing he called out in this post ended up being exactly, not only like, oh, it was there, literal reference beats in the trailer for the DLC for Violet and Scarlet called this out. Finally, he says, we are working on a graphics enhancement patch for the new Nintendo Switch that will be released alongside DLC 2. Now, I'm going to stop there. DLC 1 is supposed to come out fall 2023, and DLC 2 was listed as winter. Now, winter can mean literally December, January, or February and March. Technically, that could be a winter time period in a business season.
Yeah, I think January with Arceus was listed as winter.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's just January, but still, it's not. Doesn't mean 2023.
That was kind of the most exciting thing about the Pokemon Direct, is that people were like, oh my gosh, this guy was right. Everyone else kind of slept on it, including me, even though they announced Pokemon Sleep, which I'll be honest, I have no interest in. Like I don't have any interest in that app. You know, I think the idea of it sounds cool. Specifically if it could hook up with my health data on my watch that actually tracks my sleep better. But yeah, so people were excited about that. Now here's the next thing. A handful of other items happened this week that make people think this is actually happening. So one, this is from My Nintendo News reporting on this. Jeff Grubb, a well-known reporter in the gaming space from Giant Bomb and a handful of other publications. This is from the article by SSF 1991, My Nintendo News. Okay. Jeff Grubb has basically been talking about on his show that he thinks we're going to get a Nintendo Switch 2 announcement this fall, winter timeframe, potentially happening late 2023. So Jeff Grubb is pretty good with his sources. If he's talking about this, then there's a good chance it's actually happening. Last but not least, well, two more things. Another guy on the internet was talking about, his name's Player Essence, was essentially talking about how if you looked at this trailer for the DLC, there was no actual gameplay, right? It was just kind of
still images just shown,
cinematics,
artwork,
live action cinematics, and still images. And the reason why that's significant is when the Sword and Shield DLC was shown for the first time, they had live gameplay. Like this is something Player Essence went back and confirmed, and follow Player Essence on YouTube. He's great. And yeah, the first DLC reveal for Sword and Shield had live gameplay. So people are wondering, is this because they're potentially holding back from live gameplay because a lot of that's being produced and filmed in this new Switch dev environment with the upskilled ability? So that's one aspect that makes me think, okay, maybe this is actually true, besides the fact that this poster has said all this. That poster went back to 4chan and essentially kind of clarified a few things and did say by new Nintendo Switch, I mean next gen. So he did say, like, this isn't just a new Switch promotion of, like, DLC versions. This is actually next gen. And then, last but not least, this is from Mark Dechamp. Yeah, I like that. On comicbook.com as well. Essentially saying that Nintendo fuels Switch 2 rumors by shutting down a leaker. Rumors regarding the Nintendo Switch successor have started to circulate again, this time thanks to information shared on Reddit's Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit. Apparently, a prominent Chinese leaker that goes by the handle Factory Uncle was banned from a forum where they had been sharing leaks, and their thread shut down. Factory Uncle had gained a very strong reputation sharing hardware leaks related to various Switch models that later proved accurate. A post by Factory Uncle seemed to hint at Nintendo ninjas making the request, their lawyers. This has led to speculation that the company is trying to clamp down on Switch 2 leaks prior to a full reveal. So essentially, this guy has a history of being very good with claims. Before he's made any claims of anything happening lately, Nintendo basically banned this guy from being able to post anything. So they're trying to clamp up sources as hardcore as possible. Alex, I'm going to stop and say all of that. What do you think about all this news? Do you think it's happening?
I know it's like a broken record with everyone every year, though, since, I don't know, 2018, that there's going to be a new Switch. I think the fact that, I don't know, it seems like if this is actually a threat is why there's this incessant legal action on this specific leak, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's an actual, they're trying to control the narrative here, rather than just be like, just let that guy do his thing. Because, like, all of these leaks happen before Pokemon games, you know, get released, and nothing ever comes of it. But this seems bigger.
That's kind of where I am too. Last summer, I feel like talking about a new Nintendo Switch because there's been discussions for a long time that Nintendo's actively experimenting with new NVIDIA Integra chips, essentially to see what this is going to be. And I've seen some sources saying that like, hey, this might be essentially a portable PS4 Pro, which I mean that's 4K, that's 60
The step
frames,
up.
yeah. But again, none of that's truly confirmed yet. And you mentioned this on phone calls, like when Nintendo does do something next gen, it's also not just more power anymore. It's about more than that, right? Um,
Yeah, it's not just like what the PS um, Pro was. No, it's always there's always like some gimmick. It's not even a gimmick, but just something innovative. It's not just here's the next system, it's more powerful. It's just Nintendo's always done a step up. I mean, you look at Game Boy to Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color. You look at Game Boy Advance to the Game Boy SP, the DS to the 3DS, back to the 2DS. Um, it's just there's always something almost as if it's form over function every time they do something new. I mean, look at the Switch and the Switch Lite. They took away the Switch aspect of it just to offer something else for people to have just the handheld.
yeah, and
So
part of
that's why I think it's always something like that. That's why it would be ridiculous because I just don't think the technology's there. But like I thought, bigger screen, like a folding screen, a square screen that could do dual screen and fold out. I just thought bigger screen that switches from, a folded screen to a bigger screen for when you want it, and you can also play like all the 3DS games with the two screen thing. So like I was thinking it would be something like that, but I just don't think the folding screen technology is perfect yet.
yeah, and I would agree with that as someone that has a folding screen phone and recently dropped it. Um, it works great. The screen is very much. I'm very satisfied with it, but it is still such a new product and technology that I don't think
Yeah.
Nintendo would invest it unless they found a way to do it really well. I mean, let's take a step back and think. Before the iPod Touch, before the iPhone, the first real mainstream great working touchscreen device was the DS. And we had, again, we talked about this a few episodes ago. You had Palm Pilots and you had other technology like that, but it was the DS that really revolutionized a affordable, well functional touchscreen device that everyone and their mom had. So I could see Nintendo potentially breaking the ground on that, but I think, at least from what we can assess, it looks like we're gonna have backwards compatibility, at least to some degree, right? Because if they're talking about
I mean,
Scarlet and
yeah.
Violet being on it, and that's a Switch game, right? That it seems like if there's an update, a graphic package for the next Switch, like then at least certain games are going to be backwards compatible, and at the very least, we're going to have a more powerful device. So, yeah, I can't wait. I'm saving up money now. Game Bytes is going to buy Alex McConnell one. Kidding. That would be great though. I would love Game Bytes to buy me stuff.
I'll have to talk to them one day.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out who's putting this show on. With that, moving on to some more Nintendo news. The other week we talked about a potential Mario movie bundle coming out for the Mario movie and in celebration of Mario Day, which is March 10th. Nintendo actually just came out and revealed it. So this is an article from Ollie Reynolds on NintendoLife.com. The Super Mario Brothers movie is just around the corner, and while many of us were hoping for a brand new game from Nintendo to coincide with the release, it looks like we're just going to have to settle for a Switch console bundled instead, which was previously rumored just a couple of weeks ago. They go on to talk about the bundle that's been revealed by Nintendo. Essentially, it is not a non-OLED Switch with red Joy-Cons and a coupon that comes with a buy one, basically a free version of any Mario game. So you can use this coupon to redeem a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can use to redeem a copy of Super Mario Bros. Deluxe U or Super Mario Odyssey. And last but not least, it also comes with a sticker sheet for the movie. So this is going to be $2.99, I think, which, again, you're getting a game. So, essentially it's a full Switch for $250. I don't know what the OLED version goes for now. Do you know?
I can look it up while you go over it. But I'm surprised, but I was also not too surprised that there wasn't some sort of amiibo correlation. $350 for an OLED Switch.
Yeah.
$320 at GameStop, but that's probably and Amazon. So yeah, I think for Nintendo, Direct. It's 350. Um, no, I was wondering if there was gonna be some sort of amiibo cross launch, but I don't know how they could design those that would just look like it's actually from the movie and not from a game.
It's
But
like the
they just always do amiibos.
they when they did the original live action movie, they had live action figures, and I remember my neighbor had a Bob Hoskins Mario figurine and a John Leguizamo figurine, and that was actually pretty great. So it's interesting, yeah. The OLED's 350, and the Nintendo Switch non OLED new is 299. So you're essentially getting.
Surprised it's still that much.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're getting a game with it ultimately, and that's not a bad deal. I think again, we talked about this, right? If you go see a Mario movie in April, which is now coming out 3 days earlier, I don't know if you saw that. It's now moved to Wednesday.
April 5th.
Yeah, which they must have some data that says they're going to make a lot of money, which I can't imagine they aren't, and they want to get that big long opening week.
Yeah, more show times for that opening weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is, you see that movie, you don't have a Switch, the Mario movie bundle, it makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
see Switch ads before movies that have nothing to do with video games, so it's gonna probably go pretty heavy on this one too.
It is interesting you mentioned that because the Nintendo Switch actually had a Super Bowl commercial a few years ago as well, and that's like not something games do or consoles do.
Well, Sony did the State of Play this year. They are the live at PS5.
It's true.
They did a live at PS5 Super Bowl spot.
That's right. So with that, though, Mario Day 2023 also has a handful of additional festivities. This is from 9 to 5 Toys, article by Justin Kahn, talking about all the different things Nintendo's doing. So, quote, here's more what to expect for the upcoming Mario Day, again, March 10th, because that's, MARIO 2023. GameStop in-store Mario events. Celebrate at select GameStop locations on March 11th from noon to 4 p.m. Local time to continue making every day a Mario Day. Play games featuring Mario, like Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and more, and receive free Mario-themed items while supplies last. So they're going to have some doohickeys to give you, right? And basically, there's some contests running to win a trip to Super Nintendo World. The opening of Super Nintendo World, I think, officially is going to be that week as well, it looks like. And there's more activities they'll be doing online, on the web, all that stuff as well. So it's nothing too crazy. I think the biggest thing is the movie. I wonder how bad they wanted to put this movie out on Mario Day. It's only a month after, like, why not?
No idea. Because, I mean, I think they were, oh gosh, I'm just trying to think, like, how far along were they in production when someone's like, can we do it like a month earlier? And there's no way. Like, why didn't we plan this 3 years ago to do it just a month earlier? But that also sounds like putting someone through crunch, and that was obviously avoided. So, I mean, as far as extra crunch.
Yeah. It's funny.
But yeah, it is a little surprising. The first animated theatrical Mario movie, and it's not on Mario Day.
That's right. This is actually a Spider-Man movie now. Yeah, March 10th is a Friday too. So I mean, timeline-wise, it would have worked
this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, you miss some, you lose some, and then you're Nintendo, which no matter what, you seem to make money. As always, disclaimer: I own Nintendo stock. Okay, so the last bit of Nintendo news. This is possibly the best news of the week, and this is important for anyone who's never played a Metroid game. When they had the announcement a few weeks ago that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance was coming, again, Game Boy Advance requires the Expansion Pass online subscription. They said Metroid Fusion is going to be coming here soon too. And with that, we now have confirmation that the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack will be receiving Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance expansion March 9th. This is an article from Polygon by Ollie Welsh. This was published and tweeted out by Nintendo as well. Alex, have you played this game? This is my favorite 2D Metroid on the Game Boy Advance.
No.
You never played Fusion?
Game Boy Advance, I didn't have those, no.
I thought you played them
games
under illicit means.
Not those ones. I stuck with the Dragon Ball games and Golden Sun and Earthbound.
Castlevania
at that time. In those windows, yeah. Yeah.
You need to play this. This game is critical to the storyline of Dread because it introduces a new enemy theme, specifically Parasite X, that's prominent in Dread as well, and it's a great game. I think it came out right before Zero Mission, which is a remake of the original game. But I know there's some people in the chat in the community that want to play Metroid, they never have before. This is the place to start. You know,
this is a good intro.
Yeah, that's scandalous, Alex. I can't get it. Someone should slap you. So, Alex, our next segment, though, I mean, this is your favorite topic. Do you want to?
Oh, I'm just gonna mute myself.
All right. So yeah, he's Alex is shy to say this, but he really has a strong interest in what happens with Xbox and Sony. And
no, I don't.
Will they? Won't they? Are they gonna get together? Are we gonna
find all this texting back and forth? No, this is when I read this little snippet you have in here, I was actually laughing about it. Go on. I'll chime in.
I'm glad you laughed at that. Yeah. So obviously the litigation discussions continue. One of the interesting things happened. There was an interview with Video Game Chronicles and Andy Robinson, I want to say his name is, and this is an article from VGC, essentially kind of confirming that Phil Spencer said in an interview that if we don't get this deal, that Activision isn't a linchpin to what Xbox needs to do long term for success. That Xbox will still be around. Xbox isn't going to go anywhere. Activision isn't going to make or break what their plans are. And, they would still move forward with all their Game Pass and their existing strategy as is. Which, that doesn't surprise me, right? They still have ZeniMax, they have Bethesda, they're big IP makers, right? So BioWare, yeah. Well, no, that's EA.
No, that's EA.
Yeah. So Phil Spencer says this in an interview. The guy that interviewed him, again, Andy Robinson from Video Game Chronicles, later then tweeted after posting the article on Twitter. Let me pull up the tweet so I can find it. Oh, or not. Maybe the tweet doesn't want to work for me. Here we go. This is from Andy Robinson on Twitter. Regardless of Spencer's words, I know a lot of industry pundits that think Microsoft selling off Xbox is a genuine possibility should this be blocked. And then he says, I still expect it to go through with concessions. And people were disagreeing with him, and there's a lot of discussions. I'm not going to get into that, but basically, this circulated and other sources talked about it too, essentially that no matter what Phil says, who's head of the company, there are quote-unquote analysts, pundits, I guess technically we're pundits, which is fitting. It sounds like someone punched us in the head, which is, yeah. But basically like, if this doesn't happen, Microsoft might sell Xbox, yeah. And
to who? Sony?
Amazon, Apple, Tencent, Disney. Those were some of the sources mentioned in one of these articles. And I mean, Amazon, maybe, right? But I don't even know if they would know what to do with Xbox as a property and as a platform. And
I mean, of course. I mean, they took Lord of the Rings and look what they've done with that. It's a fair and awesome representation of this, the history.
Yeah,
Amazon knows what they're doing,
and they're making more movies too. Did you hear that?
No one wanted to hear that.
Well, everyone did. If I have to eat mustard, everyone else is going to have to ruin thing as well.
Everyone's just sitting there with their own forks and knives waiting for you to start eating. We can't eat unless you eat.
Well,
make it through the news. You can go on when I'm talking about Wolong.
Yeah, you mean Wolong. Yeah. So
whoa.
I find that to be interesting because, one, Microsoft is saying that's not what's going to happen. I mean, they technically didn't say that's not what's going to happen, but they said Xbox is going to go on as Xbox is going to go on. And that is partially based on a lot of Microsoft infrastructure. So I just find that to be a lot of smokescreen shenanigans. A lot of like, well, if you don't do this for me, I'm gonna cry about it. Which we all know that worked in 2012 whenever I didn't want to go out. So yeah, so that's the one piece. There's something else I wanted to add to this topic, but my brain's slowing down. I think I might be
during this whole argument of Sony trying to block the acquisition of Activision, you have another little link here that Sony might be forced to reveal exclusive marketing deals by the FTC.
Yeah, and I wanted to get... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, that's kind of like, I just picture someone in the room saying, hey, don't let this happen. This is going to cause too many issues. This is monopolizing. They're acquiring too much, and then the FTC is like, well, who do you got? And Sony's just like, you know what? You guys just take care of your stuff. I'm just going to head out.
That's 100% what's happening. So
You guys do your thing. Never mind. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I'm just going to, after 8 months.
yeah, adding to the drama, right? So this is again an article from Video Game Chronicles talking about that the FTC has told PlayStation it has to reveal its third-party exclusivity deals, and that Sony's request to quash a Microsoft subpoena has been mostly rejected. This article is by Chris Skelly, and the overview of it is exactly what you just said. The argument right now is all about exclusive content, about monopolization of content. Sony just did this with Harry Potter, or excuse me, Hogwarts Legacy. There's exclusive missions on the PlayStation 5 version. They've done it a lot with Call of Duty, where there's been timed exclusive content and or just exclusive content. And so Microsoft is saying like, hey, and there's another article here as well from Game Rant, essentially with Phil Spencer saying, we're not going to do that with Call of Duty. We don't do that right now we don't do that with Minecraft or any of the other games we own that we have multiple consoles. If you want to play Mega Man X Minecraft on your Switch or your PlayStation, we're cool with that. It's all there. And so that's also, again, Game Rant's talking about this as an article by Dalton Cooper saying that that's the case. We're not going to pull a Hogwarts Legacy with Call of Duty ultimately. And that's why they subpoenaed this information in the FTC court battle. And they said, hey, 2011 to modern day, 2023, give us all the details in the exclusive deals. Sony had an issue with it. Sony said,
who was responsible? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But Sony said that would be a lot of work ultimately. I'm paraphrasing, but it ultimately said that would be a lot of effort to get all that information. And the court, the judge for the FTC said, boo-hoo. You know what? 2019 to 2023. Give me that at the very least. And so they still have to move forward with revealing all of their exclusive information that they've had. And this is interesting because this ties into that horrible state of play last week. Microsoft has a lot of state of plays. They talk about big games and they're associated. Sony. Thank you. They talk about big games and they're automatically associated with the PlayStation brand. Suicide Squad, which may or may not be a stinker, Hogwarts Legacy, a lot of other games, they are revealed at those PlayStation state of plays. And so there's, at the very least, exclusivity around marketing deals, but then a lot of times it comes with exclusivity around the actual content itself. This is key to Sony's strategy. Not only do they have great first-party content, but they also do very strategic stuff with how they lock in marketing exclusivity and placement with third-party games as well that are on both consoles.
But I've seen that happen with Xbox too. Like it's so I don't think that this is really just because they do it in a showcase online and Microsoft chooses to spend millions to have the ad run on every commercial break during a kids show. I don't see how those are any different. It's weird because I didn't know that was like a thing until it'd be like, here's a game I am clearly playing on the PS4 at the time. It's like, here, cool game, Xbox, woo. Yeah. I was like, why isn't it like Bethesda, woo? Why is it Xbox at the end? But I just feel like that's a really weak addition to this argument.
Well, I think in this situation, so to that point, Microsoft owns Bethesda, so it is Microsoft. But I think the argument here is that there is at least a quantifiable difference with the amount of announcements of new content and new games that are associated with the PlayStation state of play or PlayStation marketing versus Microsoft. But you are right. Microsoft doesn't do a lot of this online stuff. They've dabbled in it, and they finally got it right with this last developer direct they did this past month or so. They announced Hi-Fi Rush. But they've honestly been bad with, a lot of online web announcements. Sony and Nintendo have been better at that. Either way, I mean, at the very least, if Microsoft, I'm gonna take a step back and say that's what's happening in the U.S. portion of this discussion. So that's what's happening in the U.S. portion. At the same time, this is an article from Routers. The article headline says Microsoft is set to win the legal battle in the EU, which is big. This UK CMA has already said these are the concessions we would want you to make, and they don't seem that significant. This article is by Fuyun Chi, and he basically says that the European Commission, which is scheduled to decide by April 25th, is not expected to demand that Microsoft sell assets to win its approval. And then goes on to basically say that if anything, it's going to be some behavior modifications and perhaps some licensing deals. So basically, you're going to have to guarantee Sony, even though you're saying it, we're going to make you sign something with Sony. And possibly behavior modifications mean exclusive content or anything else like that. You're going to have to avoid with Call of Duty as well, which Microsoft is publicly also saying this week, yeah, we don't want to do that. And that's probably intentional, right? So if this goes through in the EU and the UK CMA, and you have the FTC kind of saying, hey, Sony, give me this information, I am leaning this week more than I have that this actually might go through, obviously, with some concessions, but nothing significant, right? Yeah. I say all of that. I'm going to stop and say, how do you feel about this, Alex? How does Alex McConnell feel about this high school romance that is just driving everyone apart?
I just feel like it's going to have a domino effect on just further acquisitions, or I don't know, it's not poaching necessarily, but it just feels like these are companies trying to buy other companies and developers. It's not really a focusing on game development or anything. It's just all trying to get more under your umbrella at this point.
Yeah.
It's not stopping Sony from publishing bangers every year, but I hate that Call of Duty has this effect because I just don't understand it, other than just the target audience per age group is just constantly refilling. So I kind of hate that Call of Duty has this much pull, and subsequently Activision at this point. So yeah, that's why I hate hearing about it, because I just didn't know that it had that much weight. So it's been kind of eye-opening. But then again, I also just don't want anything to hurt Sony's bottom line enough to affect all their publishing and developing. They have to start cutting people or start shutting down studios. And that's what I don't want to see happen. And if this one company or this one game has this much control over that, then yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's like an ill omen almost. So that's how I feel about it.
Plutarch feels the same way. He's currently sniffing my peanut butter and jelly and mustard sandwich, and he's got an ill omen as well. No, it's definitely going to have domino effects, and part of me wonders if there's a big hubbub about this deal, if Microsoft already didn't acquire Bethesda and ZeniMax. But I mean, going right into the next article, this is from an article from Metro, and I don't know how this point is speculation. So I take a step back. There was a lot of industry pundits talking about that, Sony should buy Square next. And that seems like a logical partnership because they've partnered a lot in the past, and they're companies that know each other well. But people have said Sony doesn't necessarily have the capital to buy a Square Enix. I'm not familiar enough with their bank numbers to really say that. But this is an article from Metro.co, from Game Central, basically saying that that PlayStation will buy Rockstar Games and GTA if Xbox buys Activision, rumors. So I laugh at this because at this point, this just seems like a completely unsubstantiated claim, and a very much like, well, if you do that, I'm gonna date him then. Yeah. You take
all high school. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's high school drama with billions of dollars on the line too, which is like,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that was high school for me. That Arby's check got you a long way. So yeah. Sony buying Take-Two would surprise me, since Take-Two is a publicly traded North American company. I would think that would personally cost more than Sony buying Square Enix. And I say that because Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto in general, like 5 is the most profitable media ever.
I think it would be harder to buy this than Square. Yeah, I think you're right. Square's not doing like absolutely excellent in the past couple of years, whereas like Take-Two and Rockstar Games has the cash cow that is everyone dumping money into GTA 5. Same thing, I don't understand it. But I mean, they have Take-Two has Rockstar and 2K.
Yeah.
And I think what was the other one? But yeah, that's like they have like the BioShock library,
Red Dead,
Borderlands, Civilization, Mafia, XCOM.
Did you say Red Dead?
All of this stuff. What's up?
Red Dead.
Oh, that's Rockstar. Yeah, I was talking about 2K.
Yeah. I mean, NBA 2K is a big franchise. There's a lot of games they do. Yeah, Yeah, so I agree. I would think the marketing capital involved to buying a Take-Two would be a lot more than a Square specifically, because Square has divested a lot of assets the last few years. They used to own Eidos software that made Tomb Raider. They've got rid of that, and Hitman as well. Those are now companies off doing their own thing, and it just seems like Square would benefit from that partnership with Sony versus a Sony going after a Take-Two. And honestly, out of all the things we talked about today, this is the most unsubstantiated thing in the world. If something like this happens, I would be greatly surprised. And again, Grand Theft Auto 5.
What are you gonna eat next week if it's confirmed that Sony's gonna?
I'm not eating nothing because this is just insane.
Yeah.
But like again, I'm pretty sure Grand Theft Auto 5 is the most profitable piece of media ever. Like not movie,
singular. Yeah.
Like singular piece of media ever released. This is the most profitable thing in the world, which I've not played it for more than 2 hours, so I don't get it at all. Those games appealed to me when I was an 8th grader, and I was like, oh, this is great, hitting people. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, chat, what do you guys think? You think this is something that could happen? Alex, I don't think we have to worry about Sony in the long run, because I do think that Microsoft cares more about its games and how it gets its games everywhere versus its console.
Microsoft does.
Yeah, I think Sony's bread and butter is premium console experience for sure, and Microsoft games might end up playing better on a PlayStation console. You don't know, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Imagine if you get Halo on the PlayStation.
Again, don't do it.
Well,
I don't.
That's one of the rumors that circulated years ago, is that Microsoft wants to get Game Pass on the PlayStation. And PlayStation was concerned that if Call of Duty becomes exclusive and only on Game Pass, then that would be a lynch to make that happen. Yeah. And Sony's trying to develop their own service. They have their own classics library that could, make some noise, but at this point, they're basically bringing their classics slowly to the market, as well as after a game gets off Game Pass, it goes on Sony's. But that's, I think they're catching up slowly but surely. So, no. But it's an interesting week. Yeah, I am exhausted with all of this. Yeah.
One day, this whole Activision thing will be behind us.
Yeah. And
one day,
yeah, we'll all be dead. Hopefully.
I mean, for 94th birthday, we can celebrate.
The law finally goes through. So I think switching from Nintendo and Xbox Sony drama, talking a little bit more about some of these third-party studios in general. The one thing I want to talk about is Capcom came out, and again, this is an article from BGC. Capcom has come out and said that this next coming week we are having a digital event. Quote, this is an article by Andy Robinson again. Capcom Spotlight will stream on Thursday, March 9th from 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time or 10:30 p.m. GMT with a pre-show of 20 minutes earlier. According to the publisher, the event will feature news on RE4, the remake, Exo Primal, which is that dinosaur wave-based game, which kind of could be cool. Monster Hunter Rise, what additional content are they doing for Rise? Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which looks cool. I've never played those Mega Man RPGs. They're like kind of tactics. And Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which was recently announced at that Nintendo Switch Direct a few weeks ago. So I'm going to stop there. Oh, I mean, they have Street Fighter 6 as well, so you could see some news about that too, which that game looks really good. I want to play a Street Fighter game. Alex.
Looks amazing. Yeah, it looks like a huge step up.
Yeah. What excites you about Capcom this coming year?
What was the very first thing you said in that?
RE4 remake, Resident Evil 4. You don't play this.
Oh no, that's what it was. It was just there. Yeah, there's already a footage or an article about how it's a huge step up. But I'm waiting for 5. I mean, I'll play that again. Capcom. I don't think I have anything. If there's a more Rise DLC, because currently the DLC for Monster Hunter Rise is only on the Switch. It's like Sunborn or Sundawn or something, but it's not on the PlayStation yet.
Really? Sunbreak isn't on the PlayStation?
Sunbreak? Nope.
Really? It's on the PC.
It's not on the PlayStation. People were guessing that they're just going to do it like a month later just to get a little bit extra money than everyone. Whereas usually these cross console releases like this, it usually releases like the complete edition with all the stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like an obvious little buy the full game. A month later, we'll give you the rest. It's already been out on the Switch for like 6 to 8 months. If they do announce more for the Switch, maybe they'll bring them both at the same time to the PlayStation. That'd be cool. But I'm down for more Rise.
Yeah. I think that's what it's probably going to be then, right? If that's not already there, and you are right, I just looked because it is on PC and Switch, but the game was on PC and Switch before PlayStation and Xbox already, at least on Steam, not the Xbox PC storefront. So I could see it being that. I wouldn't be surprised if we got more DLC for it too that's announced, or some additional content. I can't see us getting a new Monster Hunter game yet, but
no. Monster Hunter World had like, I mean, like I think they released like several DLCs, or at least bundles of monsters before Iceborne came, and then that was like pretty much its own game launch, but it was actually just like a glorified
DLC,
DLC, like Miles Morales was to Spider-Man. It's a lot of content, but they pretty much re-released the game, or advertised it as such.
That's a game that I wish
that Rise hasn't got to that point yet.
Yeah, I wish Monster Hunter was cross-platform play. It'd be a lot of fun. Too bad you're not a PC gamer, but it is what it is, and it's probably better for your health. I see something's paused in your background.
Sony stays alive.
Is that Will Long on your PlayStation? I see paused.
Yeah, Will Long. Oh, it just went to sleep. Yeah, it's yellow now. Will Long's been waiting for me. It's
waiting
paused.
For you. We'll get to Will Long. We'll get to Will Long. Additional news in the space: Sifu, PlayStation 5 original game that came out a few years ago, is now coming to the Xbox and Steam. It was already on PC, but it was exclusive to the Epic marketplace. You haven't had to deal with exclusivity on PC marketplaces. It gets real annoying. Like if you want all your games to be in one place, you don't want to download Epic, it gets real annoying. But this is from VGC as well, by Tom Ivan. The latest game from the French indie studio behind Absolver. Sifu was originally released for PS4, PS5, and PC via the Epic Game Store last February. We're coming to the Nintendo Switch in November. I forgot it was on the Switch. The game's Xbox and Steam release will coincide with the launch of New Arenas expansion, which will be available as a free update for all platforms and as viewable in the trailer. Alex, did you play this game?
I did not play Sifu. Nothing about the gameplay. Like I didn't know what it was trying to do. It didn't really match anything I thought I'd get into. But I saw a lot of people kind of speed running that or doing hitless ones, hitless runs, like in that first week.
Yeah,
people really liked that combat, but it was just I didn't know what it was trying to be, or so I never played it.
It's an interesting game. I was really enchanted with it before it came out and before we knew a lot about it, and then it came out and I never got to it. But it's definitely a martial arts game, obviously, with very intentional combat, like a Souls-like. I think people were surprised with how hard it was. But that's part of the gimmick. One of the punishments with the games, though, is if you die, you come back, but you age. And so, like, the entire time, that age is on the line as you're trying to progress through the game and story itself. So I thought that was an interesting mechanic. I have no idea how it plays on the Switch. I have it for PlayStation. I just haven't played it. And it's a game I would love to get to. So, but yeah, game interests me. Maybe one day. Maybe when I'm done with Will Long, Will Long, so long.
First try. You did so good.
I've been trying to get better, chat. Oh, what did I just do? Ooh, I just zeroed out that. That's what I think about that game. So here's the news that you're probably most excited about, right?
There's an even better reason to be excited about this.
Xbox visits Kojima Studios. I'm kidding. That's not what you're excited about. No. Article from VGC, Jordan Midler. Elden Ring's first expansion, Shadow of the Erd Tree, has been announced. Alex, tell me all about it.
Almost a year after the game came out.
Tell me all about
exactly.
It. What's going on? What does this mean? What's going to happen?
So FromSoft, when they do DLCs, they go hard, okay? Usually the DLCs are even better and more rewarding and like more difficult than the core game. It's almost as if like the core game's like, all right, here's all the ideas we had and we all kind of threw them out there and good fun. Go have fun, guys. And then the DLCs are like, all right, how can we make this a living hell for every single person that's about to play this? And they just it's always so good. The artwork and everything, or like the art direction for these are completely different from the I'm thinking of like Dark Souls 3, the expansion. It's like the City of Fallen Ash or something. It was just something so different from the rest of the game. But the bosses are the worst bosses in FromSoft games are always the DLC bosses. This goes through all the Dark Souls games, Bloodborne. It's a treat. It really is.
Okay.
So I'm expecting, with the sheer size of Elden Ring, I'm expecting this thing to be huge. Have very tough bosses, and yeah, they just do it. They really go hard on these DLCs. So all they did announce though was a random Twitter picture
Yep.
at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the morning on a Tuesday. That was just like, hey guys, here's what we're doing. Have fun, and that was it. Refused to elaborate further.
They don't need to.
So we know nothing.
Yeah.
Other than there's a woman on a horse in a meadow with gravestones made out of ghosts, and there's like a tree in the background, big tree.
Isn't that the tree from the game?
The Erd tree depends on how you ended it, but I don't. There's a bunch of big trees. I don't know if that's the Erd tree in the middle of the map, or if it's some other tree that's giving off some sort of blight on some other part of the map. I don't know.
So
We don't know because that thing was shadow dropped at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, and they dipped.
Well, I mean, Japanese companies do that sometimes, right? They're like, "Well, it's daytime, our time. Get out of here." Yeah, I think I'm really excited about this, mainly because I'm finally being a real boy and playing Dark Souls, and I'm loving it. And I want to get through the entire Dark Souls trilogy and get into Elden Ring after that. And at that point in time, realistically, if I play Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and then Elden Ring, like that's gonna be a good couple months of game time, right? So like
My friend from Pittsburgh, Elden Ring was his introduction to the whole series. He never gave any of them a chance. He played Elden Ring and loved it. Him and his wife both played it through.
oh wow.
So he went on a quest to play all the other From Software games. Actually, I lied. The first one he played was Sekiro, and he got put off, and he never touched them again because he thought they were all like that.
Yeah.
So he played Elden Ring, and then he played Dark Souls 2, and then 3, and then Bloodborne, and then 1 remastered. So he went on like a couple of months, and now he's just kind of like, I'm soulsed out right now. So I told him to get Wolong.
Yeah, Wolong will fill up his soul, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I did play Elden Ring for like a few hours, and then I just kind of fell off of it with other things going on at the time.
Yeah, and that's why we're not friends anymore.
That's it, 100%. Plutarch and Effie, you guys have to behave. You can't be barking. We're doing a live show. Don't get mad at Effie, Plutarch. Don't whack your tail.
We can't hear them.
Oh, you can't?
They're not making any noise for us, no.
The noise gate's working. So anyways, they're barking at each other and jumping on each other. It's a little weird.
We hear nothing.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm excited for this big time. Like Elden Ring, it definitely felt easier as I played Elden Ring than Dark Souls Remastered. It felt easier to me. It felt a little more streamlined, and just story-wise, the slightest bit more exposition, I feel like, than a Dark Souls game. But it wasn't too much more, which I like. It's still very much the world tells you the story as you immerse yourself in it, versus like, here's a video. Hey, we're Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Here's a video.
Cutscenes every 5 minutes.
Yeah. So I love that about those games, and I'm really excited about this. And yeah, I think that's my plan. I think I'm going to beat Dark Souls 1. You throwing bananas at people?
I have a dog digging a rawhide into my leg, so I threw it.
Oh.
Or am I throwing? What'd you say?
A banana. Look like a banana.
Oh, you saw it.
Yeah. Everyone could see it. Yeah, so I want to try to get through 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and then Elden Ring, and then boom, by the time I do that, the DLC. So yeah, Alex, there's a handful of other things that are kind of coming up. I want to talk about 2 more. The other things I'm not going to really get into because they're not as substantiated at the moment. But last but not least, actually not last. This is from, again, another article from VGC. Great article. Tom Ivan, Xbox Game Studios teams visits Kojima Productions to kick off an exciting journey. So we've known for a while that Microsoft was working with Kojima Studios on a cloud-based game. Kojima wants to do something fully taking advantage of the cloud infrastructure. Again, he created Strand Games, and so Strand Games definitely I could see taking advantage of cloud. But
just the one.
Yeah, just the one.
You made it sound like it's a whole genre that's taken off for.
Well, I mean, he's smart. He's the type of person that will call a game a genre and then intentionally to make it catch on. There are definitely things it did that I think make sense. Like, you're gonna call it a Strand game, it's gonna have the characteristics that game had, right? And so I could see that. I could see that being a part of a cloud-based game. But in the article, it says, quote, "Our first visit to Kojima Productions with our Xbox Game Studios publishing teams," commented Aaron Greenberg, Microsoft VP of Xbox Games Marketing, "bringing engineering, cloud marketing, and production teams together to kick off an exciting journey ahead." So we have no idea what the game is. We know Death Stranding 2 is in the works for PlayStation already, and then eventually PC on top of that. But yeah, I mean, Kojima's living large without Sony's umbrella. I mean, what does this make you feel, Alex? Remember when we talked about his overdose a few weeks ago? Months ago now. Alex, if you're talking, you're muted.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh,
I forget what I was talking about, so I give up. No, I never played the Death Stranding game because I remember it had like such weird and cryptic trailer that like dropped 2 years before it came out. But I never played that game, and then sure enough, upon release, it definitely sounded like something I wouldn't like. And there was a lot of videos of just struggling to carry stuff, and I was like, that doesn't seem like something I want to do.
Feels all too.
I want to die repeatedly and get frustrated, and then overcome challenge.
Yeah, I don't need to drop things. I do that in real life.
Yeah. I don't need to carry more weight on my shoulders.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that overdose game, we don't know what that is yet, but that's a rumored project he has going on. We don't know if that's with Sony or Microsoft. This could be related to that. This could be related to something else. Yeah, I'm always curious with Kojima because he's such an
interesting mind in this whole his hobby, this whole space.
He's always pushed the space forward in ways that I can appreciate, even if I personally don't like it. Like, it's not my thing,
that's the
right?
best way to put it.
So yeah, but in other good, great, potentially weird, interesting news, I don't know why I said all that. It's not any of those things. This is from VentureBeat from a man named Mike Minotti. Mike Minotti. My gosh, Mark, what's wrong with me? Mike Minotti. He's an Italian boy from Ohio. He also does shows with Jeff Grubb. He's a Browns fan, which, is what it is. But Mike actually got a hands-on with Final Fantasy 16. This is again from VentureBeat. Final Fantasy 16 hands-on action for everyone. Quote, "I'm a big fan of the Final Fantasy series. I'm especially enamored with Final Fantasy 14. Much of the team behind my beloved MMO is working on the next entry in the RPG series." So yeah, this is largely a collection of people that worked on 14, the MMO, and people that worked on Devil May Cry, which is important because he continues to say, so with Final Fantasy 16, which is due to release for PlayStation 5, so yes, I'm very excited. I've gotten a chance to go hands-on with Square Enix's next big release. At a special preview event in New York City early in February, I spent a few hours playing it. I also got to ask producer Yoshida, director Taka, combat director Suzuki, and localization director Koji Fox some questions about the project. I got to play 2 sections of the game. One was a dungeon featuring several enemy encounters culminating in a boss fight. The other was an icon versus icon battle. So he goes on to basically say, this was a development version of the game. He was playing on fidelity mode versus performance. But this is a full-on action game. Like, this is I've seen articles talking about this, basically almost saying Final Fantasy meets God of War, but with even more RPG mechanics. And I personally love this idea because Final Fantasy, to me, is already a franchise that can do different things with each game. There's no continuity. There's no continuous line between a story or anything like that. So, like, if they wanted to use this game to experiment with this, I'm for that. And they just did that Final Fantasy Origins game too, which was like a Souls-like, right?
Stranger of Paradise.
Yeah, we should play that. I want to play that one.
I'm waiting for it to go on sale.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, basically they're saying this is an action RPG with summons, with your other classic Final Fantasy attacks and all that, but this is an action RPG. Alex, how do you feel about this?
I'm all for Final Fantasy games getting cinematic because I feel I'm wondering how would this differ from like Final Fantasy Remake even more so action. Because I mean, there's a lot of lumbering around and stuff in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but the fights are pure action. It's not a turn-based game anymore. I mean, you can switch to turn-based mode. I think it's classic mode or something.
Yeah.
But it's a pure action game in that aspect. But there's a lot of slow dialogue and cutscenes and everything. This game looks like an absolute crazy montage of just action after action after action and some exposition, but just mix in more action. Everyone has summons or icon forms or whatever. It looks like they, how they released that movie before Final Fantasy 15 came out. Did you ever see that prologue?
Kingsglaive? Yeah, I have that on DVD.
With Nux?
Yeah.
It just looks like that. It's like, we just want to make the movie, but here you can play the game too. But that's what everything about Final Fantasy 16 looks like. They have this great story, this whole thing, and they just want to just show it, and you're just going to play through it, and it's a crazy action game sequence the whole time. It just looks like closer to that Final Fantasy 15 prequel movie than remake.
Yeah,
just action nonstop.
Let me ask you this. Game. I haven't played 7 Remake yet, but I assumed it got more actiony than 15, which I like 15, but it was still kind of turn-based in a way where you weren't... X wasn't punch, right? It was like to trigger attack, and then the attack would happen, right?
No. Remake is full-on...
Oh, I know that. Yeah, it's like Crisis Core. So I'm saying 15 had that. 7 Remake was more actiony, but would you have considered 7 Remake to be like a quote-unquote Devil May Cry game when you played it?
Oh... No, because I've played too much Kingdom Hearts, and it was just a step above Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is actually the gameplay that they copied to make
remake,
like when they switched to the away from turn based.
Yeah.
They did it first in the Kingdom Hearts game, and then you saw it creep into Crisis Core, and then it's slowly crept its way into Final Fantasy as well.
Yeah.
I think with 15 was the first one to do that.
Yeah.
But 15 still was crazy action, just remake. But I think 15 was the first one to do that copied the almost the command list from Kingdom Hearts. But you're still free roaming, running around. And
yeah, I can't answer yet what the difference is exactly, but it sounds like people are noticing it to be a step further from all those games you just mentioned into the action genre as well. Which again,
even more so closer to Devil May Cry than
which people that worked on Devil May Cry are working on this game. So then
that's why everything looks so cinematic and close up. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah,
fast and chaotic.
You could see the 14 influence as well, because Final Fantasy 14 was very much set in a medieval kind of time period, right? And that's definitely what he's dealing with too, with all the various kingdoms. You could see homages to medieval geopolitics and all that as well. So I'm super excited for this game. And I liked 15, and that's not a popular opinion. I've gotten yelled at by randos on YouTube for saying I like 15. But I mean, that's fine. It was my real first exposure to a full-on Final Fantasy game, and it got me into the series more to where I went and played 7. I've now played a bit of Crisis Core. I want to play 7 Remake. I have the other games I want to go back and play. But again, Square has Final Fantasy, which can be different every game. 14's not going anywhere. That game is still getting new content. That game still has a large player base. They also have Dragon Quest, which is just a full-on still turn-based RPG game, right? I mean, it is always different too, like Final Fantasy. And so I could see Square wanting to differentiate offerings to maybe perhaps grow each franchise, make Final Fantasy more appealing, but also try to maintain its essence, but also get more people that like Final Fantasy to play Dragon Quest as well if they really want that traditional turn-based game. And I say that because Dragon Quest is, sometimes people ignore it, but supposedly the most recent one, 11 was really favorably looked upon. So I don't know. I can't wait for June. June's gonna be a great month. Besides the fact I'm gonna be on vacation, it's also gonna be lots of Diablo and Final Fantasy. So.
Oh yeah, Diablo.
Yeah, Alex. So with that, I'm gonna ignore these other things. That's rude. I can't believe you said that. But let's talk about the games we're playing. You're playing this game. Let me see if I can see that. Wo Long. I think you spelled it wrong. You spelled it with a woo. It's a wo. Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. Koei Tecmo Team Ninja. What do you think of it so far? How far are you?
I just switched to helping others through the respond feature on the online mode. Uh, I just fought like this weird yak thing that had tentacles out of the side of its mouth. I don't know what to tell you. It had a name that began with an A, but it is not in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms folklore or the storyline, so I don't know what that thing was. But no, so I'm a Dynasty Warriors 3 is very close to being one of the first video games I ever played on the PlayStation. So I've been a fan of the Dynasty Warriors franchise since 1998, and I've played them all. So when Wolong first came out with the trailer and it showed the silhouette of Lu Bu and confirmed that this whole thing was going to be a dramatization of, or just Team Ninja's take on China, not the Han Dynasty, but the Romance of the Three Kingdoms as opposed to Japan. I was super excited, and so when I go in there and there's a cutscene and there's a dude coming in on a horse with a spear, I'm like, that's Zhao Yun, and sure enough, it is, and he's just as charismatic and careful as he is in the Dice Warriors games. Then some big burly dude with some crazy facial hair comes in. I'm like, that's Zhang Fei. He's got an attitude, and sure enough, it is. And then Guan Yu comes in, and Liu Bei, you help Liu Bei. And so for me, this is just like, what is that called? Just when they're just spoiling me. Like, it's all catering to my interests.
Fan service.
So like, yeah, oh yeah, it's a huge fan service for me because I know like all the story and all these characters and everything. So it's just cool to see them in this game, and like Guan Yu has like his same spear with like the dragon head that mounts it to the spear, and Zhang Fei has his same little swirly like spear, and I know Lu Bu has a sky piercer, but it's just so weird to see these. I'm like, you guys are in the other games I play, and now you're here. So I'm just kind of giddy through the whole time because of that. Now, as far as a Souls game, or Souls-like, or a Team Ninja game, it seems to be a lot easier than the Neo games.
Yeah.
They tried to mimic a parry mechanic or that Sekiro did with From Software, which is completely different from like the block and dodge and sidestep from all the other Dark Souls games. But Sekiro did this parry mechanic that was like you had to learn to beat the game. Well, Team Ninja tried to mimic that with this deflect. And it is super easy to kind of, once you get that down, you're pretty much untouchable. Every once in a while you'll slip up and everything, but the attacks that the enemies do are so telegraphed that you can deflect, and pretty much there's going to be hitless runs on this way faster than any other Souls-like, just because the parry mechanic's easy to abuse. Having said that, the enemies are still fun, unpredictable and everything, but to me, the real highlight is just the setting. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited to see every character that's introduced. I'm excited to see what they cover, because like the opening chapters of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, it's just now dipping into, I saw a silhouette or like a behind the back shot of Wan Chao. So I know they're getting into, and Lu Bu's in it. So I know they're getting into the Hulao Gate. Maybe Dong Zhuo is going to be in it. They called him Big Dong back then. No, he was a tyrant. So yeah, I don't know how far they're going to go, but this sounds like they did Neo 1 and Neo 2. So I'm hoping this does well enough that the next game comes out and they tighten up that parry so you can't abuse it, but it's the same gameplay, but just progression further through the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, because this is just all eye candy to me at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this is going to end up. If they cover the Hulao Gate, Xishui Gate, Zhang Liao, and Huaizong, are they going to even cover what happens with Sun Jian? But where is it going to stop? Because there's a lot that happens after that. The actual Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the warring states of Wu, Wei, and Wu. So yeah, they have potential to do sequels and trilogies and stuff, and Cao Cao's rise to power and all of that. So I'm excited. To me, that's like now my primary interest. The gameplay and everything else is secondary. Yeah. Because I know it's not as polished as like From Software. Mm-hmm. But it has the craziness and fastness of Neo. Also the crazy convoluted loot system, but I'm liking it a lot so far.
Yeah. It's a handful of things. That parry system reminds me of Metroid Dread, which Metroid Dread made a parry counter system very critical to surviving and fighting and defeating bosses. Like you would have to parry bosses to get certain vulnerabilities to finish the boss, right? And Metroid Dread did it amazingly, and this is kind of what it reminds me of, and now that you said it was in Sekiro, it makes me wonder if Metroid was inspired by Sekiro a bit on that. It also reminds me of Jedi Fallen Order a lot in terms of difficulty, not quite speed, but difficulty and at least speed of enemies. Because yeah, I mean, I'm coming from playing Dark Souls Remastered for 20 hours this last week, and then I went into this, and I'm just going off and knocking enemies left and right. And then yeah, I'm struggling with the first boss, as we talked about, but I'm learning that parry for him, and yeah, once you get that down, it kind of just keep doing that, and they are very telegraphed. It definitely does seem a lot easier. It's definitely a lot quicker, and for me, when it's quicker, it seems easier because I could do like a handful of attacks and then get out of there. And
Yeah, it's more snappy.
yeah,
It's easier to be snappy
and I say
rather
this
than
like
extremely patient.
as a comparison, like with Dark Souls or Elden Ring, like I would die from a regular enemy pretty quickly. That did not happen with this game. Like I did not die until I went against the boss. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you're right. It's the same. Yeah,
and to me, that's just a noticeable difference. Like, oh, the regular people seem kind of easy, bosses seem a bit harder, but because of that, it's real easy to farm and then overpower yourself a bit, then to take on that boss as well. Which, yeah, I mean, you called it out. There's a lot of story, there's a lot of exposition, and I think when the game has that, they want people to experience it because they put all this work into it, and so the gameplay is kind of able to assist you with that. Again, it's definitely a Souls-like, but it's not as hard as Neo. It's making me want to play Neo again, to be honest with you. Neo 2.
yeah. I kind of want to get into 2 and finish it after this.
Yeah.
Not finish it, but there's extensive DLC in that. Like
Yeah.
just so many stages, and I never went through them all. But yeah, I do want to go back into it and see how different it is.
But this, I mean, again, this game overall, it's a lot of fun. It's good. I played it for like 2 hours today, maybe an hour and a half, and then I was like, all right, I need to go play more Dark Souls because this is gonna mess me up. I'm coming from that point where I just killed that ceaseless discharge boss last night, and then I continued in that lava place, and I'm fighting Capri demons now. That Capri demon was the worst
Capra
thing.
demons.
The Capra demon was horrible, but now there's just
Yeah.
like 6 of them, and they're regular enemies.
That's a very From Software thing to do. It's like, here's an early game boss. You struggled with them. Well, you got past them. You beat them. By the way, those are just regular enemies now. Later on, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing with this. Did you fight the ape yet in Wolong?
No.
Okay, he's in like the next little place with like a yellow. You fight that ape. Now he's just a regular enemy where I'm at now. I'm like, I gotta fight these apes over and over again.
Typical. And I like that about the game. I'm having so much fun with Dark Souls. I really want to get the pure experience of like Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, and then maybe some Demon Souls. Maybe I'll be good at Demon Souls. But yeah, it definitely is easier than all those games we just mentioned. Even easier than Elden Ring, it seems like. Like Elden Ring, again, easier than Dark Souls, but that first boss in Elden Ring was a lot harder than this.
Morgoth. Yeah.
Than this first
Or
boss.
Margit.
Yeah.
Morgoth is the other one. Yeah, I struggled for like a couple of hours on that first boss in Elden Ring, whereas Zhang Liang, it was like my 4th try. Once I got the parry down, it was easy, and it's just kind of been the same thing since.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were mentioning the common enemies not being an issue. I will tell you later on, they do get randomly, like they get unpredictable, and by unpredictable I mean like how aggressive they are.
Okay.
Is he gonna do 2 hits and you can just parry that real quick, or no, he's just gonna swing wildly for like 10 hits. Like they get more unpredictable later, and it gets a little that you're gonna be back on your toes.
Oh, all right. You say it. We'll have to team up this weekend. I took off Monday, so Sunday night. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So how's Octopath treating you?
I am, I think 26 hours into that game. I finished everyone's main story. I'm about to do like the final mission or it's like the last trophy. It's called Journey to the Dawn or something. I don't know how much endgame content there is compared to the first one. But this game I think it was a huge step up from the first one. If anyone's on the fence about it, but like the first one, but if you had any gripes about connectivity of the individual storylines, I didn't know until I played it, but they have joined or crossed paths, which is like, you know how you go to this town to do in the first game, like Cyrus is stories here, and then you got to go do, I forget their other names. Primrose's story here. Well, Crossed Paths is two of them are in this one town, and they actually have a little story mission together. And there's like 4 separate Crossed Paths storylines also. So there's a lot of interaction in between them, including this last chapter. It's like them all, just camping out, just like the title screen artwork. They're all interacting and everything. So it's a big step up. They like listened to fans and implemented that entirely. But yeah, I don't know. I love the whole game, and I love the music and everything. It's a worthy successor, and I just hope they keep keep pumping these out. I'm gonna keep buying them because they're fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think again, Square game, that's a RPG, turn based, right? Yeah. I think they do. I think they want to have a way to offer games that traditional RPG experience, and I see it happening. If this one's a success, I don't see why you don't get an Octopath 3, Electric Boogaloo. Little homage to last week's episode. Okay. Yeah, I still need to start it. I'm hoping that changes.
Your backlog's just going to keep growing.
It always does, but I am doing a lot of my backlog well this past week, because I beat Fallen Order finally. Love that game. That game was amazing. That ending, amazing. I can't explain how, oh gosh, that ending. Also, that last boss, again, beat it on Jedi Master Mode. So frustrating. But then when I finally got it, so rewarding that I also wanted to permanently kill the character, but thankfully someone took care of that in the game. But yeah, Dark Souls. I mean, you were watching me last night. I beat Blighttown. Everyone's telling me Blighttown, oh, it's horrible. Wait till you get to Blighttown. Blighttown wasn't that bad. It was not that bad.
Was on the PS3.
It was buggy. Ago. Buggy is what I heard, right? Frame rates.
Now you have buggy and way more enemies, and no one knew that bonfire was to the left.
Oh, I found another bonfire last night when I was going back through it again. There's another bonfire there too at the section of the docks when you enter as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they, in the remastered version, if they took enemies away or not, but I haven't looked
I will say, even when I was watching your stream, I was like, oh, he's going down a ladder. Here it comes. And you're just like minding your own business, just dodging these poison shuriken are just flying past your face. And you're just like, ah. I'm like, how is he lucking out so much, just not getting hit by absolutely anything?
That's
yeah, it was just funny. It was just your completely random chance. You're just like, huh, and like dodging these poison darts that are supposed to mess you up and knock you off and poison you and overwhelm you.
No, there's
swinging around your big black sword.
There's a good community out there supporting me and giving me some help, telling me what not to do, and telling me that my camera wasn't on when I was fighting the one demon. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So no, I'm 20 hours in. I'm supposed to stream tomorrow morning. Again, twitch.tv at Joyful's Arcade. I gotta figure out. Orkin's gonna be at my house at 8:30, sucking a bunch of rats out of my vacuum, out of my attic, and
rats out of my vacuum.
Yeah, sorry, my wife just startled me. No, thank you. I'm good. I appreciate it though.
It'd be funny if she was in a rat costume.
Yeah, no, that would be really messed up.
Just tackles you.
Yeah,
just the stream.
Yeah, that's it. Giant rats attack streamer. No. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. But yeah, I'm gonna play it tonight. I'm gonna play the heck out of Dark Souls tonight. Playing on the Steam Deck, it's just a thing of beauty. It's just so I'm at the point where I went back to the woods area, and I went down and I fought the Hydra. The multiple headed dragon in the lake.
In the lake.
Yeah, and I got that guy in the tower too. That was the big. I got a ring that makes me, I can carry more weight on my body now too, which is great because now I'm not walking around like a big boy. Got some speed.
You just got to get the coveted serpent ring and the coveted gold ring. I think it's like increase your souls and increase your, I think, money.
Okay, well, now I'm at a point where I went past a waterfall, climbed up a ladder, and I'm in a new area of the woods that I'm exploring. So,
have fun.
Yeah, I
if
thought.
You see any dogs, pet them.
Yeah, no, I found one last night, and that was I ran, and then I saved the game, and I was like, I'm going to bed. So
I ran too.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the news. That's what we're playing. There are some community questions I wanted to get to, Alex, to get your thoughts on them. I want you to answer them, and while you're answering them, chat, I'm going to take this mustard, and I'm going to put it on this peanut butter and jelly slice of bread. This is a punishment for me being wrong, and thank you. So, question 1 from Coach Paul's in the Discord. Quote, what would it take for you to also go mustache and do the episode as Mario and Luigi? I'll take my answer off air, but he's not. He's going to get it off.
He's not. He's getting it now.
Yeah, so the question is, what would it take for us to do a Mario and Luigi stream?
I almost did a mustache stream today, but I forgot because I was playing Wolong up until turning on this stream. I was going to shave this off and just go mustache. So it honestly takes nothing. It just takes Mark finally losing his beard. So I think that question's for you. By the way, did you, Mark, I don't know if you remember this little diner restaurant in Clarion, like if you ever ate there or proposed to your wife there, but we had a sandwich called, yeah, that's a good portion. Where's the other half? We had a sandwich there called the Beck Tall,
Yeah.
which was ranch, or not, oh my gosh, why was that the first word? It was
ranch.
It was brie, like any type of jam that we had, like raspberry jam, grape jam, Dijon mustard, and slices of ham and lettuce. So
Right.
like it's really close to what you have there. So I don't, you're eating something weird, but
I mean, look at me.
I think it sounds delicious.
Yeah, I think it sounds good too. Need a mustache episode stat. Yeah, so here's what I would say to the community. This last episode of Game Bites did really well, and I would say two things. I will get us a mustache stream if we hit our community sub goal of 100 subscriptions on Twitch. If that happens, I will shave my beard off.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll do a mustache Mario and Luigi stream. Ideally for the Mario movie.
Yeah, as I say, you got a month.
Yeah. Yeah, so if that happens, chat, then yes, I'll shave this off. I will take extra heat from my wife. It comes in hot. She's not a fan of the mustache at all. I can use her exact language here, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but she said it, and she's okay with me communicating it because she believes it. But her exact language is, quote, "I look like a douche with a mustache." And
what kind of? Never mind.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, what kind of advertising are those things doing nowadays?
Oh yeah,
like Mr. Clean, but just with a mustache.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I say that's what we'll strive for. And if that happens, I'll stick to it, and we'll do it. So, all right, I'm gonna read the second question, Alex, and I want you to think through this. And as you think through it and talk to it, I'm gonna start eating this delicious piece of mustard, peanut butter, and jelly.
I want some.
So this second question comes with Hawkinson. Thoughts on a community game night? Top 3 multiplayer games? Could these questions be archived somewhere with answers so that duplicates do not contaminate the future? And this is also where he suggests this sandwich I'm about to eat as a punishment. So, Alex, community game night. Would you be down for one with the community? What would you want to play? And also, what are your top 3 multiplayer games of all time? Go.
Multiplayer games?
Yeah, and also community games. What would you want to play?
I have a question. Can you play? You can't. No, you can't. I was gonna say you can't play Jackbox. Like on the stream and the code pops up and we can connect to it. We have to be on the same Wi-Fi, right?
No, you could do what you just said.
You can. That's cool because like I think that's my favorite multiplayer game because it's always a lot of fun. Whoever visits.
Jackbox is a very popular community game, and I just want to say this right now: this has no right to be as good as it is.
It's delicious. I knew it was gonna be. It's like half the sandwich that we used to make. It's so good. It's got the savory and the sweet.
Peanut butter, jelly, and Dijon mustard is everything I want.
I want some.
Maybe
Can we do that for dinner tonight? Peanut butter and jelly and Dijon mustard sandwiches. That's my new favorite co-op game. But as far as multiplayer games, I'm gonna throw a quick shout out to a small indie developer From Software who makes some of the best co-op game I've ever played. The entire series ever for most of my life. Couch co-op, Dynasty Warriors. So I don't know if you see a reoccurring theme here, but my brother and I put more co-op hours into Dynasty Warriors in our lifetime than I think I've done with any other game. So yeah. But man, can we do a community game night? Yeah, whatever we can hook up to.
Yeah, let's do.
Honestly,
Jackbox would work.
We can play like from games. Like if you haven't played Elden Ring yet, Happy Cynic hasn't played Elden Ring yet, summon me into your guys' games. Like, let's do this. We can just put on the game. We can put on the code and the first one in gets in, you know?
Yeah. We can talk about it more in the Discord, but I agree. We should do a community game night, maybe once a month or something like that. I think, a Souls game, or again, the Jackbox games, they're very popular and easy to do community. Why? If we get my wife involved, we can offend some people.
We can't stream it.
No, we will.
You'll get kicked.
No. Well, she said some things on stream that I've been surprised by, but that's why I love her, and that's why she could only be married to me, because you know some things I've said before. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I'm sorry, chat. Proot, that sandwich was good. Yeah, I mean, you can all think I'm crazy.
It's the official Game Bite sandwich now.
The only thing I would add to it is a slice of cheese and maybe a piece of turkey or ham. And another piece of bread.
Cheddar.
Yeah. That was amazing.
I want it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. All right, yeah, that's it. That's Game Bites for the week. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode as we went through the Xbox, Sony, drama, Nintendo news, third-party news, and everything we're playing. Alex, I imagine you're going to go eat some mustard, peanut butter, and jelly sandwiches and play some Wolong. Is that?
That's not. Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say you don't make it far in video games if you stop to take a break to eat or use the restroom or respect your wife. You just gotta play video games.
He's right there. I want to know who the face is. That's funny. I'm gonna go use that on my wife. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Alex, will you sign us off?
Stay warm, stay cool, and stay full, everybody. Have a great weekend.